Welcome to On the Couch with Samie-B PT. That's me. Here is why now is the best time to be creating new habits. A lot of us don't have jobs at the moment, we're stuck at home, and we have more time on our hands. We have less distractions, which gives us more time to focus on the things that are really important to us. And due to having less commitment elsewhere, we can commit more to those things. You could potentially be creating bad habits at the moment without even realizing, be that spending too much time on the sofa watching TV, scrolling through your social media, or just sleeping in and staying up way too late. These things are going to impact you tremendously when life goes back to some state of normal. So let's get intentional and take some control over these habits. Where do we start with that? Well, first you need to figure out what habits you want to create. Make sure it's something that is important to you. Obviously, there's no point just creating a habit just because someone else is doing it. We have to remember that whatever these habits are will fit back into our normality once this isolation period is over. There's no point creating habits that consume your day without these other commitments, and they're just unrealistic when going back into normality. We also need to remember to start small. Just like anything, like goals that we pursue in life, if they're way too big and out of reach, you're not going to have that commitment level. So it could be as simple as getting up at a certain time in the morning every day, or going to bed by a certain time every day. It could be just to work out once a week. It could be to work out once every day. It could be meal prepping, eating healthy, those sorts of things. And at the moment, you have more time to figure out what those foods are you like and the best way you can cook them. A lot of people struggle with eating healthy because they think it's bland, boring foods. If you spend the time now working out different ways to cook those foods and foods that you enjoy, it's going to make things easier when you've created that habit of meal prepping and eating healthy. And when you go back to normality, you don't have to think, you don't have to experiment, you know what you're doing. As well as creating new habits, it may be that you want to break a bad habit, like ones you may have already made, sitting on the TV, scrolling through social media, just being on your phone way too much, smoking, drinking soft drink, eating all the leftover Easter chocolate, whatever it is, whatever that bad habit is, now's the time to work on breaking that as well. So again, start small. If it is that you want to work out once a day and you're currently not working out at all, it may be more realistic to start at just working out once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, and slowly and gradually bumping it up. With habits as well, it's important to set a time frame. If you're just going into this idea of creating a habit and it becomes too hard within the first day or within the first week, you haven't set a goal time for that habit, so you're just going to stop. It's not going to work. They say it takes 30 days to form a habit. So I think that's a good place to start. Set it at 30 days. Set your goal time frame for 30 days. If you get to the end of that 30 days and the habit hasn't been formed, or you're finding it's not working for you, reassess what you're doing and if it is actually important to you or not. It's important to also plan ahead. If you want to create a habit and you have no plan as to how that habit's going to work, it's not going to work. So break it down, similar to what we do with goal setting. Write down what the habit is, write down the best way to achieve that habit. If it is waking up early, for example, you may need to go to bed earlier. You may need to have less stimulation at the end of the day so that you can get to sleep and have a better sleep and get up earlier. If your goal is to be meal prepping, you need to plan ahead for what time of the day, what day of the week you're going to be meal prepping, and lock it in. When are you going to do your food shop so you have the ingredients for those meals? What are you going to do if those ingredients aren't available? What can you substitute? So yeah, write it all down. When planning ahead, it's not just what are you going to do, it's what could happen that could affect this habit and how are you going to resolve that. If something comes up and you're unprepared for it, you're going to throw in the towel in most cases. Whereas if you've already thought of this, you're just immediately going to go, okay, cool, I'm going to do this to resolve this issue, and it's done, it's easy. We also need to be accountable. So you may want to post on social media. This is my plan. This is what I'm going to be doing for the next 30 days. Or you may want to just reach out to one close friend and let them know and ask them to help you be accountable. Maybe it's that they check in with you once a week or every day, a particular time. They might give you a call or you give them a call and chat about what you've done towards that habit. Another way of being accountable is writing things down. Write down a checklist for each day and tick it off. That way you know what it is you want to achieve out of that day and you know when you've done it and you feel more accomplished once you have ticked something off. The next thing into forming a good habit is reminding yourself. You need to remind yourself every day, not just what it is that you want to be doing, but why it's important to you. So this may be something you have written on your mirror so you can see every morning when you get up in the morning. It may be something you have as a reminder on your phone that pops up at a particular time every day. It may be just writing that list the night before of what you're going to conquer the next day. Then when you wake up in the morning, you've got that reminder, you've got that list, and you can go through and tick off as you go. Another great way of forming a habit or breaking a habit is creating a trigger or a ritual. For example, if your habit is that you want to be getting up every morning, create a ritual every morning of what you're going to do. So your alarm goes off. Are you going to lie in? Probably not a good idea. So your alarm goes off, you're up, you might splash a bit of water on your face, you might read those things that you've written on your mirror, read your list from the night before, have a coffee, have a big glass of water, whatever it is that you need to do, make it consistent, make it a ritual, do the same thing every day. Other things you can do, for example, if you're wanting to quit smoking, you may have a trigger where whenever you feel like having a cigarette, you might have a big glass of water instead. You might have a tea instead. You might text a particular person whenever you feel like having a cigarette. That is also holding you accountable, and it's a trigger. You know, you're doing the same thing every time. That will help you to be aware of that habit and break it. In some cases, having a trigger or just creating a habit or breaking a habit is not enough, and especially when it comes to breaking habits. So you may need to replace a bad habit. If your bad habit is that you drink too much soft drink, or maybe you drink too much caffeine in general, replace it with water. I know for some people, like, water's so boring. How can that replace that delicious beverage that I enjoy? It does work. However, if it's not working for you, you may want to add some BCAAs or some other kind of supplement that isn't going to negatively affect you. Remember, in breaking bad habits, we don't want to be creating new bad habits. So anything you're replacing, make sure it's not another bad thing that's going to form a bad habit. Coming back to drinking water, I actually used to have a really bad chocolate addiction, which I wasn't aware of for a long time. I had a high stress job. It was right next to a Woolies. Woolies were doing $1 chocolates every day, and in my head it was just like, oh yeah, it's just $1 here and there, and a snack through the day. But every day, eating chocolate every day was not a good idea, and it didn't make me feel very good either. And I actually replaced chocolate with water. I would just scull as much water as I possibly could, which made me feel full, and it hydrated me. I didn't drink much water before then. Sometimes I drank that much that it actually made me feel sick, so I didn't want to eat the chocolate. Now, that worked for me. I now barely eat chocolate, and it's not because I'm telling myself not to eat it. It's just that I can realize that I don't actually want the chocolate. In some cases, it's just that I'm bored or that I'm stressed and there's something else going on. And most of the time, I actually navigate towards drinking a glass of water without even thinking about it, and that craving is gone. And I actually don't enjoy chocolate as much as I used to anymore. So that's a win. Maybe it was this breaking the bad habit that helped me with that. I don't know, but it worked. We also need to remove temptation. If it's a bad habit that you want to break, and it's food or any other kind of substance, get rid of it. If it's not there for you to eat or to drink, you're less likely to be eating and drinking it, because there's more effort. You need to go to the shop to buy it. You need to figure out where you're going to get it from. Removing the temptation as well, it puts more thought into proceeding with the habit. It's not just, hey, I feel like a Coke, go to the fridge, get a Coke, drink it. It's, hey, I feel like a Coke, I'll have to go to the shop, buy a Coke. Oh, hold on a minute. Do I really want the Coke? Is there something else I can have in the house? Why do I want the Coke? You're thinking about it a lot more than just the thought comes into your head, you grab it, you go. Temptation, we also need to remove distraction. If it's creating a good habit that you want to do and there's things that distract you from doing that, that lead to procrastination maybe, you need to eliminate those things. For example, I often get distracted by my children. Usually when I film these videos or I'm doing uni work, I have the kids coming in every 20 seconds basically asking for food. I want food, I want food, I want food. Or I want to do some colouring, I want to watch something on TV, I want to do a puzzle, whatever it is. So to eliminate that distraction for me, I have put something on the TV. I've made a platter of a selection of foods that I know they will enjoy, and I've put out the things that they enjoy doing so they can get those things done. They don't have to ask me, everything's right there at their fingertips. Remember, consistency is key. The only way you're going to form a good habit or break a bad habit is by being consistent, doing something towards it every single day. And the most important thing, I believe, towards anything, whether it's habit forming or pursuing a goal, you need to do it for yourself, which I did state at the beginning of the video. If it's not for you, if it's not important to you, why are you doing it? And that's something that's going to be in the back of your mind, stopping you from achieving it. So make sure you're doing this for yourself. If you don't want to give something up, if it's not affecting your life in any way, then why are you doing it? Figure out what it is you want to start doing or what it is that you want to give up. Make sure it fits in with normality for you when things do go back to normal. Start small, commit to a time frame, 30-day being the suggested time frame. Plan ahead, be accountable, remind yourself every day what it is that you're wanting to achieve. Create a trigger or a ritual. Replace things if you need to. Remove temptation or distraction. Consistency, and do it for yourself. Hopefully that information helps at least one of you out there. I know writing these things always help me to remember. Sometimes we already know all this information, and just reminding ourselves of it, like I've said, really helps. Sometimes we do forget. Everybody forgets why they're doing things sometimes. So we need to remind ourselves every day. Anyway, thank you for watching and peace out.